So hello, I am going to give you a little mini class here. So you can call it a long form video if you want. And I'll tell you the truth of the matter is I went to do it live in my Facebook group. And for some reason, after talking for 30 minutes, the video got, I don't know, fragmented or something and it didn't show. So I owe that group this little mini class, I promise. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put it on Facebook and make it, or excuse me, on YouTube on my channel and make it available for anyone who wants to get this. So what we're going to talk about today has to do with a post that I made the other day, and a couple of people messaged me about it. And the post said something, and I'm paraphrasing, not very well, but I'm paraphrasing. It said something to the effect of, one of the greatest manifestation tips that no one ever talks about is not how you act, feel, speak, think when everything's going well. It's how you think, feel, act, speak when things fall apart. And that, makes a great meme, right? Everyone can say, yeah, that's right. But I really want you to think about that. And so I decided I'm going to do a little mini class so that I can help people who want to better understand this, because it's everything. Like you can be in a great mood or have a great day and high vibe it, and so attract more days. But then what happens when someone rear ends you, or you owe $20,000 to the IRS, or your cat barfs in your shoe and you're on your way somewhere really important? These are the times that most people will either react with anger or tell themselves a story like, this always happens to me. Why do I even try? Neither one of those are conducive for manifesting your dream life, in case you didn't know. So I decided that I would do this mini class on something that gives the whole overview of the 3 different ways that people move towards their goals. But the first thing we need to do is we need to know, and I'm gonna treat this just like I do at my mini workshops. Like real estate firms will have me speak on Zoom, or I've done for different industries, and I've done them live as well, or in person. So this is kind of I change it up here and there, but this is kind of the basic structure of what I teach at one of my classes. And it's information that if it resonates with you, if it tracks, then it can change your life. And so I'm like, why aren't I just sharing this and letting everyone know this information, right? I mean, I realize I'm not naive. I realize that not everyone in the world who struggles in the ways we're going to talk about wants to hire me for a coach, or likes me for a coach, or even wants to work with a coach. And that's okay. This information is still exactly as true and accurate as if you never use a coach, and maybe you don't ever need a coach. This can still be helpful. Okay, if it lands on you, and if you resonate with it and you absorb it and pay attention, not just to me, but in your own life, the way that things unravel and how you respond versus react to them, it can make a huge difference. But we're going to talk more about manifestation, because that's what this is all about anyway, right? So I want you to think about one thing that you would love to have in your life. And I mean love to have. Now, if you answered just to pay off all my debt, beep, wrong answer, go to the back of the class, because that's not something you would love to have. And if that's your idea of an ideal outcome, then we have a lot more work to do with you. So for right now, we are focusing on what you would love. Now, maybe it's true. Maybe if you make $300,000 this year, you would be able to pay off all your debt. But when you think about the word debt and you think about your debt, does it fill your heart with joy? Mm-mm. And what we think about, we bring about. If we are going to focus on, even though we're saying eliminating debt, our focus is on debt. And we're breathing life into whatever we speak and think about. We're breathing life into it. And that's why so many people who, and including people who come to me for coaching, are like, I just want to get out of this debt. I just want to be able to retire. So, I need to pay off all these credit cards or whatever. They're focused on the debt. And that is no way to get to your dream life. Okay? So it's perfectly fine to say you want to double your sales, or you want to, have a $300,000 or a $500,000. I have some clients who are working on a $500,000 a year. That's perfectly fine. But whatever it is you say, it has to be associated in your mind and your heart with something that would bring you great joy. Does that make sense? You have to associate it with the essence of what you would love. So if it's not a dollar amount, which I often try to get my clients to not pick a dollar amount, I often try to get them to choose something that just makes them feel good. Like, I want to take my family to Disneyland in 3 months. You know, whatever it is. And the other thing is, I want to encourage you to not only give the universe and your superconscious one way to get something. A lot of us think through our small ego separated minds that there's only one way that we can get that money. It's got to be this way. Like, I had an agent last week who said to me, I'm planning a trip and I need to sell 3 houses by, 2 months, whatever it was, 6 weeks. And I'm like, wow, that's really specific. What if you sell 4 houses? What if you sell 1 really big house? There's so many variables just in her statement, being the nature of real estate. But also, what if someone pays you back that owed you money? What if someone gifts it to you? What if someone dies and leaves it to you? I'm not trying to be morbid, but the point is, when we are so specific in how something is going to come to us, we limit the universe. We limit our own creative thinking. Our superconscious has access to everything we've ever done, thought, felt, said. The universe at large, right? And it doesn't have anything to do with your religious beliefs. The superconscious is connected to the quantum field, if that's how you choose to see it, or to God, if that's how you choose to see it. But your superconscious is between whatever's out there and you, and it knows everything. So why would you want to limit it and say, only bring me money from selling 4 houses? That's really ridiculous if you think about it. So when you know what you want, and you can verbalize it, you can vocalize it, you can say, I want to make $500,000 a year, or I want to grow my business. And I find a lot of women in real estate and sales in general, and I have a couple of women that I'm teaching right now, and 1 man, by the way, not trying to be sexist, who are training with me to be coaches. And they just get such a thrill out of the idea of getting out of whatever work they're in right now and growing into being a coach and helping people. You'd be amazed at how many people that are currently in sales really want to be coaches, underneath it all, or like when they retire. And so they're not focused on a dollar amount, and they'll do really well because they're focused on the love of what they're training to do. Okay? So pick your ideal outcome. What is it that you want? And when you have that, now we can start. I want you to imagine this fist right here is in your current reality. It's where you're sitting right now. It's the circumstances that you see every day. It's your environment. It's the way you feel most of the time. This is right here, right now. And then over here, and I'm going to put it up for right now, because I think of it as being like your ideal outcome, but it's kind of in the quantum right now. But because my arm will hurt if I hold it up here for this whole video, I'm just going to put them on my armrest. So just remember, this is where you are right now, and this is where you want to be. Okay, now one thing we know for sure is that if you are, let's say where you want is a mountain. This is a mountain that you want to take on this mountain. That's where your vision is. What is the likelihood of the mountain coming to you? It's really low, right? The Bible says we can move mountains and all of that. And in quantum physics, in fact, there is no time and space, and there is no mountain. So, but that gets way too what? So I'm trying to be logical and with a modicum of what people consider reality, even though there is no such thing as reality, and to let you know that this is theoretical physics. This isn't quantum mechanics. I'm not talking about all the potentials and probabilities. I'm just saying if this was a mountain and I wanted to be on top of that mountain, chances are good the mountain's not coming to me. Right? So it takes 3 things. There's between those two is a gap. This is a gap. And there's three things that are going to play a role in if I get to that mountain. And, one is going to be the stories I tell myself about the gap. The other is going to be how well I employ manifestation techniques, which we'll talk about. And the third is how well I move towards it. Those are the only three things, right? I mean, what else would there be? I'm here. I want to be here. I got to move towards it. And the story I tell myself and the way I feel on the way to moving towards it is going to have everything to do with whether I get there or not. Okay, so there's three kinds of people. So those are the three things. We'll come back to that. And now there's three kinds of people. The first kind are the by me consciousness. They're like, I got to hustle, I got to grind, I got to dial for dollars, I got to pound the pavement, I got to get there. I'm going to get to that mountain. And so they put action above everything else. They think that if they just hustle, if they just hit the streets and they grind, that they'll get there. And they often can get there. I want to be really clear. There's nothing wrong with hard work. But imagine these people heading towards that ideal outcome, that mountain, as having a bag of, 100 pounds of stone. And they're just trudging along, trying to get there. Now, they may get there, or they may get really close, but because they have physically exerted themselves to such a great degree, physically, mentally, emotionally, they often end up with a compromised immune system, a heart attack, adrenal fatigue, addiction, divorce, the list goes on, right? These are people that are in their mind, I got to do this myself, and it's all about hard work. All you got to do is work really, really hard. And you do have more rewards if you work hard versus if you don't work at all. But when you're working hard and trying to get somewhere, you're trying to manipulate matter with matter, okay? Matter with matter. We're not bringing mind into it. And that's where the by me consciousness, they get burnt out. They get really, really burnt out, and they can have health challenges. And again, even when they make it, then some other area of their life falls apart. I see it all the time. So I know this to be true. Now, are there exceptions? Of course, to every rule. The second kind, and this is the kind that I really work with the most, before I work with them, this is how they are. And these are the ones that do the cha-cha. These are the ones that have a really, great outcome. Like, I just closed a big deal, or I just won this, or I just found out this, and they're really happy and great. So they do take a step forward. But then something goes wrong, what we were talking about at the beginning, and they react. And then they take 2 steps back. Sound familiar? 1 step forward, 2 steps back. But I want to be really clear that the 2 steps back is not your fault. It's that your nervous system, how you feel in your body, and the story you tell in your brain, a lot of the times it's unconscious, are not in alignment with where you're going because you've reacted. And so now you're not going to take any action. Or you're going to take that forced action that doesn't really fit you. You're not a door knocker. You're not the buy me. If you're in this category, you're not like that. Doesn't bro marketing, not your thing, right? And sometimes the things we react to, we get so mired down in them, so defeated, that it can send us off on a tangent. And this is when our nervous systems are so dysregulated that we don't have control over our emotions. I always say my coaching is EMC, emotional management coaching. And people don't come to me because they want to learn to manage their emotions, but I'm going to tell you what, if you're not making the money that you want to make, or if you're having a health condition that you can't seem to get rid of and doctors can't identify it and nothing has worked, and you've read every self-help book in the world, and you want to grow your business and nothing's working, I can almost guarantee you it's emotional management. And when I say emotional management, I don't mean you're a big baby. I mean your nervous system is probably dysregulated. Now, I'm sure you've heard nervous system dysregulation because it's a keyword in 2025. I've been talking about this and writing books about it. I didn't call it nervous system dysregulation, but that seems to be the catch-all phrase that people are using, so I'm all for it. I'm all for a society that recognizes our emotional well-being has everything to do with our financial well-being, our financial freedom, our physical health and our energy, even our relationships. That's not my wheelhouse, but wealth and health definitely are. So when we understand that from that perspective, we're taking one step forward and two steps back, we have to stop and ask ourselves, why do I keep reacting? And let me give you an example. Let's say you get, I don't know, let's say your cable company comes and they overcharge you and then they do a terrible job. Instead of just taking a beat, maybe doing a little EFT, maybe doing some breath work, maybe doing some journaling, I want you to understand that your emotional reaction only lasts in your body, physiologically, chemically, 90 seconds. That's as long as an emotion lasts, unless you milk it, unless you nurse it, unless you keep pulling it up over and over again. Do you get that? Whatever happens that's bad, I guarantee you there's something good in it. Somehow, some way, somewhere. And the good could be that you just learned something from it, or it made you stronger, or it made you wiser. Doesn't matter. The point is that it's up to you how long you want to milk that bad thing. And ultimately, nothing's good or bad. It's all, the universe is built on equilibrium. So if something good happens, something bad's probably going to happen, something bad, and that's not naysaying, that's not having a pessimistic attitude. It's understanding that at the center of everything is love and gratitude, and that's really what we're here for. But when something bad happens and you decide to nurse it and milk it, what are you going to do? You're going to get on your text and you're going to tell 20 people about it. You're going to join a Facebook group. You're going to complain to your spouse or partner. You're going to be so mad that it's going to be justification to drink a bottle of wine or to eat a cheesecake. So what you're doing, two things. One, you're perpetuating that bad thing. You're perpetuating it. You're keeping it alive, not just in your body and in your mind. You're keeping it alive in your energy field. That's number one. And that's bad enough. And number two is you're taking your two steps back and you're putting a resistance force field around you for good things to happen, for abundance to come to you. Do you get that? We have a choice. When things go wrong, we have a choice. We can react and we can complain and we can gripe, or we can heal whatever happened, move past it, find the silver lining, and stay focused on the ideal outcome that we're heading for. Okay? But these people that are in the second category, their nervous systems, and I know because I had this for 52 years, their nervous systems are so constricted that they can't keep moving forward. And any actions they take that are going towards this mountain, the movement they're making, is either going to be forced, and so people resist it and it repels people if you're in a marketing, or you don't take the action. And I always use the example of doing video. Video is like, it's 2025. Everyone loves to watch videos. Just look at TikTok if you don't believe me. And so maybe if you're in some sort of business or sales, you should do video. And if you're in this second category, you're like, no, I'm not. I don't want to be seen. It's not safe. I don't want to be on camera. Nobody's going to like me. I'm going to get rejected. People will laugh. Whatever story you're telling yourself does not go with the manifestation part of this, which I'll cover briefly. And so you're not going to take the action. See, those three things have to be in alignment. Your story, your state, and your strategy. Your focus, your frequency, and your inspired action. They have to all be in alignment. And if they're not, it's fragmented, and it's fragmented in your field. You have a field around you. And that's what all the people and circumstances are built around. That's what they're all coming from. An example, An example I will give you is health. Like I work with people who are desperate at times to find relief from a health condition. Like either the doctor says there's no cure for this and they've exhausted all of their resources, or doctors say we need to cut this part of your body out. And so sometimes I feel blessed. People come to me, and I used to, in fact, work in Sacramento. I used to have 3 doctors, a chiropractor, an acupuncturist, and a functional MD, who would refer me with their tough clients. Sometimes they didn't want to pay for it, and so they didn't work with me. But the point is, they were wise healthcare practitioners in that they realized that every health condition has an emotional, energetic beginning, foundation. Does that make sense? So even if someone has heart disease, hello, they've got stress. If someone has liver disease, they've been withholding anger. So many people have had trauma, and we just stuff it aside. And I am not a person who believes in going to therapy for 5 years to talk about what happened. Because look, if you're talking about something that happened that you didn't like, you are breathing life into it. There is nothing to figure out. It happened. Let's find a way to shift the perspective, find a way to find gratitude for what happened, and move on. Because that's in the past, and you don't want to go that way, you want to go this way, right? The third type of person recognizes, and this is what I do in my coaching. The third type of person recognizes that this gap is not really there. Okay? That's a mouthful, so I want you to think about it. Here's your physical reality and what you have, and here's what you really, really want. This mountain, this quantum dream. But when you understand how the universe, I'm talking science here, when you understand how the universe works, you realize that there is no gap. And if there's space, again, quantum physics tells us there's no time and space, there's no separation. But what a boring way it would be to live if there was just one of us here. And if there's no separation, that's really what it is. And that would be so boring. Just us, right? Just me. So the illusion of this gap and the illusion of time are constructs that we have on planet Earth that help us navigate planet Earth, that help us have relationships. How boring would it be if you didn't have relationships? Or that you didn't have things that you work toward? So when I say the gap isn't there, I'm not talking about the journey to get here. Because if it's something you love, which it should be, then you're going to enjoy it. I had someone a month or 2 ago say to me, well, I'm going to law school. There is definitely a gap there because I have to pass the bar before I can be a partner in a firm. That's my vision up here. I'm like, great. Do you love the law? Yeah. Are you going to love being an attorney? Yeah. Do you love learning this stuff? Yeah. Where's the gap? There's no gap. If what you want, even if it in the physical reality, it's not here right now, if you're moving toward it, embodying it, there's no gap. You're just on a nice cruise to get what you want. So let's talk for just a moment about embodying. What does that mean? It means that you identify intellectually that there is no gap, and that you understand intellectually that energetically, which has nothing to do with your intellect, energetically, one of the best ways, the fastest ways, the most effective ways you can close that gap where you're just making a quantum leap is to get into the feeling of having that already manifest in your life. Because the way that manifestation works, the way that quantum mechanics works, the mountain is not coming to you technically, but you are going to it energetically first, which for all intents and purposes can make it seem to yourself and to others that the mountain frickin' moved. It really, really can. But how do we do that? And that's the challenge, because if you are able to see what you want to see in your mind using your right hemisphere, and all you have to do to use your right hemisphere is close your eyes and see the picture. See it as a movie if you want. And then cultivate the feelings of excitement and grateful emotion. You have, for all purposes, you have created it in the quantum. And just because it feels like this third dimension reality where things are solid, just because it feels like this is the real reality and that's just the imaginative one, that's not true. It's because you're only interpreting with your senses what's going on right here, right now. And if you constantly say, well, I still see what's here, every time after you have a session of creating, meta-creating, and embodying it, but you're still complaining, the gap, you're making the gap bigger. Do you get that? You're pushing that away and you're widening the gap. And this is the problem that people in the second category we talked about with dysregulated nervous systems have, is because it's this complete recycle. We just keep going around and round. One step forward, two steps back. One step forward, something happens, I react. When I react, I reinforce. I widen the gap. Do you get that? If I'm reacting to circumstances around me that I don't like, I'm widening the gap and I'm reinforcing the energy of that resistance, so that stuff is going to happen more and more and more. Does that make sense? That's why people that are in the second category, which, you know, to be fair, I don't know if I said this or not, but to be fair, it's not just trauma and your ex-partner and stress. Stress is a lot of it, but it's also all the 5G frying our systems. It's agitating us. It's, you know, the toxins in our food, the fluoride in our water, the fast food that we eat that's not even real food, being addicted to social media. Most of us look like human question marks when you go out in public because people are just bending down. They look like a question mark, a human question mark, right? So all of these things contribute to that nervous system dysregulation. But your body, your nervous system, and the stories you tell yourself, and the way you feel emotionally, those are all tied together. So those all come first before any action or activities you take to promote yourself, to heal yourself, to whatever you're going to do to get to that mountain, to that ideal outcome that you desire. Does that make sense? And I'm going to tell you, anyone who thinks that, no, if I just work hard, I'll get there, and doesn't embrace the other, the other trident, whatever, the other three things that you have to do, which is, mind, heart, body, they are not going to get as high as they want, or they're going to be burnt out when they get there. There is not one Olympic athlete, at least a gold medalist, who did not rehearse repeatedly in their mind with emotion. Like every pro athlete, it didn't used to be like this, but it is now. Every pro athlete has that kind of training. It's part of the training. It's part of the game. Is you've got to have the mental game, mental rehearse. So what I hope you get from this, if nothing else, is that mental rehearsal with emotion it's got to be your foundation. I mean, first you have to get really clear on what it is you want and the essence of it, and then you have to tap into the essence of it. That's how you close the gap. And I can be sitting right here, right now in my office, but I can be envisioning my next book being a bestseller and changing the sales industry, because people are finally getting that emotions have everything to do with our success or failure and the way we react to things. Changing the health industry, because more and more medical professionals and patients are recognizing that all of these diseases and viruses and everything came from the stressors in our body that are always emotionally based. Okay, even viruses. So it doesn't matter what it is. There's always emotional component. And if nothing else, it's emotional after we get it, and the devastation that a serious disease can have upon us. So emotions have everything to do with our health and our wealth. Obviously, they have a lot to do with our relationships and our finances and everything else. I mean, not our finances, but our relationships and our success in general. But it's got to be a mind, body, spirit thing. You've got to employ that. and you can close the gap. That's all you have to do. And if you can't do it, then that means your nervous system needs a break. That means you need to incorporate some somatic training. That means you need to settle down your brain waves, and even just the new philosophy of really seeing where the target you're moving towards, right? You can't just move blindly through and just say, I'm just going to send out 500 postcards and then that'll bring me some clients. You've got to see it, feel it, believe it, and then move toward it. In that order. See it, feel it, believe it, and then move toward it. So hopefully that's helpful. 30 minutes, so time to go. But if you need help with this, and like I said, I work with people who are trying to accomplish a great goal. It could be to write a book, to be a coach, especially people in real estate sales, especially because that's, 30 years in the business. So I get it. But I also work with people having health conditions, not as a doctor, but who understand that there's an emotional component to whatever illness or condition or situation that they're dealing with. And, and I use my biofield technology, and we can really, really help clear your energy field. And that all starts up here and in here. Okay? So I have group programs, and I have one-on-one sessions, and I still have a scanning special going on. If you want to start there, it's like, I'll put the link below. But I hope that you will really think about this little mini class. I hope it's been helpful for you. But you've got to see it, feel it, and believe it, and then you move towards it. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.